All right. Okay, there it is. Okay, well, I say we get started now.
Okay.
So, hello and welcome to the first Barney Miller's Tech and Design Facebook Live event. Tonight, the topic of discussion is living with whole home audio. I'm Risa Schultz. I'm joined by Allison Lopez, and we are from Connect, and we're going to be moderating tonight's conversation. We are excited to be joined by a panel of industry experts, and I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourselves. If you could give us your name, your company, and a little bit about what you do. Barney, why don't you go first?
Okay, I'm Barney Miller. I'm the third generation owner of Barney Millers Incorporated. We're on Main Street in Lexington. We do electronic systems installation for the residential and commercial market, and we've got a very experienced staff and a cool showroom to come visit.
Great. Jimmy, why don't you go next?
Yeah, I'm Jimmy Nash. I'm owner of Jimmy Nash Homes, and we've been in business for 30 years. We do custom single-family homes and townhomes in Lexington, Kentucky, Central Kentucky area.
Great. And Deborah?
I'm Deborah Drury with Deborah Drury Interior Design, and I do all types of design from commercial, residential. I've done nautical and some aviation too, which is fun.
Very nice. And Joey, last but not least.
My name is Joey Perfido. I'm one of the regional sales managers for Paradigm Speakers and Anthem Electronics. And my job allows me to work with some of the very best audio video integrators across the country. And Paradigm and Anthem are what we call crafted in Canada, which means that we research, design, engineer, and build the majority of our products in Canada. So we are a high performance and great value in both products.
Great. Well, we're excited to have you all here tonight. If you're watching at home, feel free to leave comments or questions in the chat box, and we'll try to get to those at the end, towards the end of our discussion. So let's get started. Barney, as you said, you are third generation in the family business. Your company has been around for 98 years, which is amazing. So you have seen the industry change. You've seen, everything evolve in this industry. So tell us, why did you want to start this Facebook Live series?
Well, I think it's a good opportunity for us to enlighten people about, when they're building a house or designing things, to integrate electronics in them. And technology is moving at warp speed. So, really just to keep educating our clients and people out there about all the possibilities, because that just changes all the time and faster and faster as the years go on. So just a good opportunity to talk to people about different subject matters. And we'll try to stay focused on, audio tonight, but there's many other aspects to electronics in the home.
Yes, so definitely education is so important. And as you said, because there's so many areas when putting electronics and automation into a home. So really being able to show people, how technology can impact their life at home and how it can make life simpler and easier.
I say easier, better, and more fun.
Yes, definitely more fun, for sure. So Barney, tell us, what is whole home audio and how does it fit in with smart home automation?
Yeah, whole home audio is just a way to listen to music throughout your home. And I think, almost everybody loves music of one kind or another. Nowadays, you can dial up any song you can possibly imagine. So whole home audio in our world is tied in relation to smart homes. So for instance, in my home, I can hit a button on my phone that says entertain, and the lights go to a certain level, the shades go down, music starts playing, and it just can do a whole lot of things. Lights go on outside, that type of thing. So we can really integrate all these systems together, and whole home audio is a really great part of that, that can be integrated together.
Perfect. So on that note, I am going to share my screen now so we can show a few examples of the different elements of whole home audio. So people can actually have an idea of what we're actually talking about. So Barney, if you want to.
Sure. So
if you want to quickly just tell us what we're looking at in these pictures.
Yeah, so the top left is in-ceiling architectural speakers, and those can be in a home theater type environment or stereo environment, and even a single speaker stereo, and for maybe a small room like a bathroom or something like that. So those can be hidden away, painted the color of the ceiling, that type of thing. The more modern ones have very little bezel or no bezel, and so once you paint the grills, they blend in quite well. So that's very common in homes. And then flat panel TVs, the top center there, have really poor quality audio. So adding a sound bar, in the case of the Paradigm, that's a custom sound bar, so it completely matches the width of the TV and it looks like it's part of the TV. So having better sound on flat panel TVs is really a must, because the TVs are so thin nowadays that there's no place to put a good quality speaker. So that's very important. In the top right, those are floor standing speakers. That's literally the best way of getting audio. So if you wanted to have a, more of a listening room, that type of thing, or in the case of those Paradigms right there, you can actually paint those speakers come in different colors. So you can coordinate the color of them with your room, or, if you've got a red fire engine, red car or something, you can actually paint the speakers the color of a car, anything you want to really, but the sound quality of those is just amazing. In the bottom left there, we've got some in-wall speakers that are painted the color of the wall. So that gives you a left, center, right configuration in the front, and complement that with a subwoofer on the floor to the right for deeper bass, and then rear speakers and things like that. The middle, bottom middle, that's a landscape speakers there. So you can see a subwoofer that looks kind of like a mushroom that's buried in the ground, and then a more full range speaker to the right of that. So the key there is to have enough speakers to spread out where you can converse and entertain properly, and it's not too loud in any one area. And of course, those can live outside 365, and you can play music all the time. Bottom right, home theater. That's a big one for us also. There's a incredible quality you can get out of those. I think nowadays we can produce better quality audio in the home than a commercial movie theater can. And it's more comfortable environment now too. So, there's just all different types of music, and all those can be tied together to a degree. And you can play the same music, you can play, ball game sound and that type of thing. So really just a lot of variety there.
Don't forget gaming.
Exactly.
Gaming
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very popular also, because the sound and picture quality on video games now is amazing.
Yes. Very good. Okay, I'm going to unshare my screen now. Thank you for that great description. And
Sure.
Allison, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Risa and Barney, for that awesome introduction. So my first question is going to be for Joey. So we just went through a lot of Paradigm product and a lot of various elements. And, Paradigm is a wonderful brand that you have such a scope of different types of products. What we hear a lot about in our market is in-wall speakers a better choice than standalone speakers? A lot of people, there's sometimes confusion regarding that. Can you talk to us a little bit about the place for each of them and how it's sort of, you can have all these different types of speakers throughout your home
Sure.
and purposes for them?
Sure. Yeah, every category that we design is specific for the customer's needs, whether it's an in-wall speaker or a ceiling speaker. And those are two different things, obviously location, but also the way that they're designed to sound, where a in-ceiling speaker is going to give you more dispersion to cover the room this way. An in-wall speaker might be designed more to play louder because it might be a left, right, center speaker. So there's a lot of different ways that we look at those type of what we call architectural speakers. When you get to the floor standing speakers and bookshelf speakers that have been popular for so long, those are going to give us a lot more sound. There's a lot more bass. Everybody loves bass. There's more imaging, more detail. Usually when it comes to a floor standing speaker versus something of equal price points on an in-wall. So it also depends on the interior designer. It depends on the homeowner of what works in that room. So we try to create products for all different scenarios to allow the customer to have the best sounding speakers for that room.
Yeah, I mean, I used to think of, before I got involved with this market, I used to think of standalone speakers as being really old fashioned. That's what we used, 20 years ago. And I, didn't understand until I actually started learning about, the standalone speakers. And I read an article just a few weeks ago in one of our trade publications that actually called the standalone speakers a work of art and a musical instrument. And I thought that got my attention. And, it just stands out in my mind, and it really explains, the difference of what standalone can do versus
Sure.
in-wall and in-ceiling.
Yeah, and especially if you look at the persona speakers, which are one of the pictures that we showed earlier, they are a work of art. They are beautiful looking speakers. They are a statement piece. When somebody walks into a room, that's going to be one of the first things they see. And they are one of the best sounding speakers you may ever hear. So yeah, it's standalone speakers are not just for better performance, but they also are a conversational piece. They can into a room with the right interior designing work. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So, when we think of whole home audio, right? And you think of all these in-ceiling, in-wall speakers and, the whole trend to make everything really seamless in a home. Many of us don't want to see wires. And I know, Deborah, especially from the home decorating side, a lot of clients don't like to see that. So, that brings us to the next question to you, Jimmy. Can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of pre-wiring and, the benefits of that?
Yeah, so, doing custom homes, you get to start from scratch and you get to have those conversations about, maybe pre-wire and what type of wire to use. And that leads into locations and type of equipment. So we're able to bring Barney and his staff in and get them involved in an early stage before we even price the house up. We start having those conversations. So, the budgets have changed a lot. People are putting more swimming pools in and theater rooms today than they ever have. So just about every house is engaging is probably with the way the world is right now, people are spending more time in their house. And so we're seeing those budgets change and shift into that category. And it's probably the biggest stereotype of people thinking wireless would be a great application and they don't really need to run all those wires. So we can kind of talk about the pros and cons of doing that, not only with speakers, but all the other home components that are involved with audio video.
Great. So Deborah, the next question is for you. What are the benefits that you see in working with a home integrator like Barney Miller?
Well, I work with different types of clients. Some of my clients are not as knowledgeable in technology, and some of my clients are way ahead. They want to know what the latest thing is in overseas that's coming to the States. So the beauty of going to the Barney Miller showroom is that we go in and we're usually armed with the drawings that I've done. We have the AutoCAD drawings and the plans, and we already kind of know what the different spaces are going to be used for. And then we sit down with one of the people at Barney Miller's, and they have a great showroom there that we can talk about what we need first. And they're so knowledgeable and they're so good with my clients who don't understand it. They explain it so simply for them. So when they leave, they feel like they've been educated and they feel like they really have that knowledge. And then my clients on the other end that are very knowledgeable, they leave with new information too. So it's a win-win for everyone. And so I just love it that I can take them in there. And then when we leave, they really are very honorable to the design too, and what I'm wanting as a designer. And it's just, everything always works very flawlessly.
Awesome. So, back to Barney. Barney, we couldn't leave this without talking about home theater and the role sound plays in home theater. When we think of home theater, it's such a technical side to it and background to make it work and to make it perfect. And, as you mentioned, now you can actually have a better home theater in your home than going to a theater. So talk to us about the process a little bit.
Yeah, we want to start with the size of the room, the budget of the customer. I mean, really, the sky's the limit on the quality that you can get in a home theater as far as video and audio is concerned. Anthem from the Paradigm Company has a great calibration method. Having the room calibrated properly, there's acoustic treatments that you can put in rooms to make them sound better. It's not to keep the sound out of the room, but it's to treat the sound in the room. So you've got sound that can reflect off walls, and if you can prevent that. So we want to make sure that we've got the room properly covered. Adding dual subwoofers is also very popular nowadays. So it used to be just one subwoofer, but two balances out the room, and that deep bass just really gives you the dynamic range of movies. And really, movies have a lot more dynamic range quite often than music does. So it's really important to have a good quality system there, and we want to make them easy to use, so we want to educate the customer on the control part of it. We don't want 5 remotes on their coffee table. We want them to be able to operate it with a touch screen or a remote, that type of thing, a single remote. And it's just real important. So really the whole concept of, what the room's going to look like, we want it to look good, we want it to sound good, and we want it to be a fun place to be. And it's going to be the best sounding room in the home.
Yes, it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially, today, with the situation we're in with COVID, I've heard people using home theaters for multiple purposes now, not just, movies. The kids have gotten in there with games and turn it into full game rooms, and people are working out in these rooms. They're meditating. So the rooms have become multi-purpose. You alluded to room sound correction. So, Joey, your company has some technology regarding that. Can you dive a little bit more into how that operates? Because I think that's really interesting. I think
Sure.
About that.
The biggest problem in pretty much every room for audio is the room itself. The hard surfaces, the windows, tile, cabinetry, things like that, kitchens, bathrooms, great rooms. They all have these problems because of these hard surfaces. And so what we've designed, we have a proprietary software called Anthem Room Correction. And Anthem Room Correction, or ARC, is built into all of our surround receivers and our amplifiers designed specifically for distributed audio throughout the house. And so basically what Anthem Room Correction is it is a software, and the product comes with microphones where companies like Barney Miller will come in and set up the room correction for the customer. But basically, you take a microphone in a room, and a sweep test will run through each speaker. So a noise from low frequency to a high frequency, and it will correct for the negative effects of the room that are caused by the barrier issues. When you go outside and we talk, everything is opened up. You don't have any echoes, but when you're in a room, especially the room I'm in right now, there's a lot of echoes. And with Anthem Room Correction, and of course, acoustical treatment helps as well. But Anthem Room Correction does a really good job of making that room sound a lot better when it comes to audio.
Yeah, and I mean, especially in the new trend with open concepts, kind of, what's behind me, high ceilings, family room and kitchen together. And then now we have the indoor outdoor trend where, you know, whole walls are being pushed back to have the entire length of the home, especially here in Florida, be open. So you can, you know, so I mean, when you're thinking about audio in a home and whole home audio, you know, as you're home and then walking outside, you want that continuation of seamless sound, just not visually, right? Because we're trying to create visually a seamless environment, but we also have to think of the sound as we walk out and how to position. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, a lot of systems you can't position a speaker. They're already in the audio video company has already placed the speakers before the walls are in, and once the walls are placed and all the decor goes in, there's no way to adjust those speakers. And also, you can't really put acoustical treatment in every room of the house. I mean, couches, pictures, things like that will help. Carpet will help, but you're not going to be hanging a lot of acoustical treatment on walls, and those are really designed more for theater applications. But and that's where anthem room correction really shines, is in those areas.
So Barney, when we're talking about that indoor outdoor concept, is there like, where do you position the speakers? Is it closer to the door? So, and you know, something walking out?
Well, there's a big trend for landscape audio nowadays. So the speakers are placed out in the landscape aiming at the house. Instead of having a couple surface mount speakers on the deck and trying to blast the sound out where you're sitting on the deck, it's too loud for you. So our goal is to try to put enough speakers around to balance out the sound where it's a comfortable sound all the way around. And then, you know, say you've got some architectural in-ceiling speakers inside, and as you walk from inside to outside, you can hear the same music, you know, going from inside to outside. But I think the landscape audio has been incredibly popular the last several years.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, the outdoor correction isn't there yet.
Yes.
It's all based on barrier walls and ceilings and floors, things like that. So that's something that we're always looking into as of today. Yeah, the best bet, what you said, is having those landscape speakers where you can play everything at low volume. You have a lot of speakers. It's just like lighting. And when you have good lighting in a room, it's because you have a lot of smaller lights that even out the light output, and the same thing with speakers.
Great. So Jimmy, I know you and Barney have worked a lot together. Can you tell us some of the projects that you've worked on or are working on currently?
Yeah, well, we're finishing a couple projects that have some really cool theater rooms. One of the theater rooms I feel like is like a commercial theater room almost. It's a 15,000 square foot house, and it has all the fabric on the walls. And I don't know the technical part of the equipment. Barney probably would, but it's a special, really special theater room. He just finished another project. It was a 10,000 square foot house, and they did a curtain wall around the room. So they keep the theater room open a lot of the times, but they want to privatize it. They have these curtains that go on 3 sides of the room that encloses that room. I thought that was a pretty cool idea as well. And those outdoor speakers, he switched over at my house this past year, and I had a party and we took the speakers off the house, put them out in the landscaping, played great. Party moved inside. I thought I turned it down, but I turned it up. Police comes to the door at midnight. Neighbors weren't pleased with it, but those speakers are amazing.
Wow, I love that. I love that story.
And
the
that's
audio works.
Yes. Well, that speaks to how many options there really are to bring audio to your home. I mean, when you're thinking about with the holidays coming, if you had a guest walking up to your home and Christmas music was playing, or when you walk in after work, if you have, low music playing in the background, to enjoying time in the backyard now. I mean, in the times that we're living, it's so, we spend so much more time at home. So it's so important to really make it a place where we can enjoy ourselves and enjoy music.
Definitely. So Deborah, tell us about some trends that you're seeing or hearing from your clients. What are they looking for regarding audio in the home?
Well, some of my clients, they aren't as aware of what's out there. They're just starting out and wanting to meet Barney and them and start. So for them, we're looking at how to conceal possibly the TV. And I know that they have many options on placing a piece of art over the front of the TV. They have the lowering. I think Joey may know more the terminology on that, but where you can lower it to lower the artwork to expose. Lower the television to expose lower the artwork to expose the TV. Sorry, yep. But that's really a nice feature, and some people have never seen that before. So, and another trend that Joey and I were talking about was in the exterior is putting the speakers up in the trees to get better sound.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. So, with as Risa mentioned, with the holidays upon us, Barney, talk to us about, how audio is connected with smart home automation. You alluded to it earlier when you talked about, the themes in your house, but talk to us about some things that you could preset to really take it to a next level, really, in entertaining at home.
Yeah, we can program systems nowadays to play in certain rooms, certain sources. There's all kinds of streaming services now. I think there's over 60 streaming services nowadays. So really the sky's the limit. You can choose any song, any genre, just about anything possible. And then we can actually have those programmed. We can have things come on at certain times. Again, I'll mention an entertain button that's really popular. We can have things where, I've got a button on my remote control on my phone that says garage. When I hit that, my garage goes up, my alarm system disarms, lights go on, and it plays the Kenny Chesney channel on Sirius XM. So there's a lot of different things that we can do that automate things together and just make things real simple too. If you're listening to a ball game and you want to have, people watching it on several different areas, then we can have that ball game sound throughout the house. Joey mentioned video games. So there's just a lot of really options out there, and making things simple to work is just a big key. These systems are really more complicated than ever to, I think, design and put together, but they're easier to work nowadays because the user interface is so cool and the capabilities are just off the charts as far as music, and the quality of it is amazing.
Yeah, and we've been talking a lot in this conversation about really audio integration. And when you think about audio in a home, Joey and Risa and I, we were on another call, and this came up. Joey made a really good point about saying, it doesn't have to be this huge home theater. Home theater could also be simpler. So talk to us a little bit about that point, because I remember it being a very good one, Joey.
Yeah, sky's the limit when it comes to home. You can, if you really
right, but you had mentioned that it could be simpler.
It can be. Yeah, it can be. I was just talking to somebody the other day where they could take a projector and a screen and get something much bigger than they could buy at on a display. The large 80 100-inch displays now are 10 grand and more, and you can buy a projector and a screen for a fraction of that. And same thing goes with speakers. You can and do hundreds of $1,000s, or you can spend a few $1,000s and get a really nice system. I started doing some math the other day, and I think that floor standing speakers, in a lot of cases, are actually less expensive than putting them in the wall or in the ceiling. But but that, again, we go back to all options depending on the homeowner, the interior designer, but yeah, you can put a sound system in your family room. You can put it in a dedicated room. You can incorporate stereo system into a surround system. I mean, there's so many different options out there today for customers to maximize their budget, their room, their space.
Great. Yeah. And, as we keep saying, the technology is just progressing to such an amazing level. It's happening so quickly. And I know, Barney, we had talked about the invisible speakers, and I know you're up on the latest and greatest regarding those. Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, when you're designing a multi-room audio system or whole house system, you really don't want to necessarily put the same speakers in each room. So, there might be areas that you want to really entertain that you have fantastic quality speakers, and then a lesser room you might have a more budget type speaker. But maybe in a really nice dining room, you might want to have no speakers visible. So there are speakers now that are invisible that you actually put a thin coat of mud and paint over, and they're literally totally invisible. They in the past have not had quite as good a sound quality, but nowadays there's been some new technology in the last few months that makes that maybe a better option for some people, and that maybe wouldn't put those in every room, but there might be certain areas. So we try to look at each room, what's going to happen in that room, and try to devise a good system, a good design, and with budget in mind. And so it really, you go room by room really to design an area by area.
It's funny you should say that, because our integrators tell us, people want audio in every room, the bathroom, the laundry room,
The garage.
everywhere. So, and one of the things is that if people don't run the wires, they eventually they get into the home and they're like, oh, I should have, I want a speaker in that room. I want a speaker in that room. And there's a lot of regrets that surrounding that if the wires are not in there.
Well,
even a wireless system typically has something to plug into an electric plug, unless it's a battery powered speaker, which is not a good long-term solution. So, unless you want something sitting on your kitchen counter taking up space, then you want to do some wiring and be able to hide these speakers away and, just make it look better.
Yeah. I mean, so it's like everything else, right? There's different levels. So yeah, you can buy off the shelf Wi-Fi, wireless, and go that way. But as you said, if you want a more seamless, and I don't know how that works if it's not on a strong network even to begin with. When you're thinking of whole home audio or smart home automation, you definitely have to think of the infrastructure that goes on before you start layering all that product.
Yeah, the network is super important nowadays. In the last several years, that's been one of our key growth areas. And then, the quality of our networks that we're putting in has gotten better and better because, if you're looking at a camera when you're not at home, if you're streaming a movie on Netflix or Amazon, any of that type thing, it's all related to your network. And when that doesn't work, then you got problems. So it really makes sense to put a good investment and a good design in a network. That's the backbone of our systems.
Yes.
So, this conversation sort of segues into one of the questions that we have in our chat. A lot of what we're talking about is a lot of new construction right now, but obviously there are people who have been in their homes for many years, or maybe they buy a home that's already built. So there's the idea of retrofit. So going into a home and being able to install this type of technology after the fact, right? So somebody asked the question, can whole home audio and this type of technology be installed in a retro, really it's a retrofit?
It can. I mean, we've done many houses that are retrofit environments, so running wires, if you've got, attics, attic spaces, if you've got crawl spaces, we go up inside walls, we've got tools that can run wires in pretty amazing places. So it is very possible. It's harder to run a wire in an existing home than a new construction, but it's definitely something that we do all the time. And, that's where we want to do a site visit and look at what's possible. A real old home typically is going to be a little more difficult to run wires in than a more modern home. But it's something we do all the time, and just get a good look at the situation, and our experience can come into play there.
One thing on the retrofit, sometimes I go into a lot of historic homes and where people are already living there. And when we have an issue with that, what Barney was talking about, I've designed a lot of architectural millwork, different moldings, different types of pieces of cabinetry that we'll bring in, and all of it is inside of that, so it's easier to do. So that is something for the people out there that might have a home that might be a little bit of a problem. We can bring something in to hide it all and make it still look like it was originally with the home.
Cool.
And that's the beauty of being able to customize a lot of, like Barney, you brought up earlier with the persona speaker from Paradigm, that you can paint the colors or, to match your interior or your car, which excites me because I love car and matching the speaker. But you could do that, like you said, with the grills. I mean, you could probably even, if the color needs to be aged a little bit to match the walls, like you said, Deborah, you can do all of those things to make it so seamless.
Yes, airbrushing the grills are a really good thing.
Very good.
How are we doing with questions?
That is the question that we had in the chat. So I don't have any other questions right now. So we're coming close to time. So if you guys have anything else, maybe.
I've got something else to mention, and it has to do with distributed audio and choosing the right level of performance. And this is something that we train our dealers to encourage their customers to determine which rooms are the most important for audio, and that's usually the rooms that are the entertaining rooms, kitchens, outdoors, great rooms, living rooms, maybe master bedroom. Pick those rooms. We encourage customers to pick those rooms and use a higher performance speaker. And then maybe in the guest room, the garage, if you have a gift wrapping room, maybe something a little less performance there. But the reason I say that is when you have and when you are entertaining, most likely you're not going to listen to music at loud levels, so you're going to play it at low levels, and that's where the term, everybody uses that term, background audio or background music or background noise. And with the higher performing speakers, you're able to still get a level of detail at low listening levels that you would at normal listening levels. Now, on the flip side, if you are, whether you're entertaining or you're at home, you want to listen to music really loud, jam out to your favorite group, you want to be able to play that music loud. You want it to not distort. You don't want those bass drivers to start to clip or lose performance. And so you can use your performing speakers, and they're not a lot of money. I mean, comparatively to a lower, the jump from one level to the next is really not that much anyway. So I encourage everybody who's watching this, when they're designing their system, whether it's new construction or retro, to think about those rooms that are most important to them in entertainment, and put your better speakers in those ceilings and walls, and then put the lesser speakers in the other rooms, unless you want high performance music in all rooms. That's not going to complain about that, but I just wanted to.
Hey, we saw one of our clients did a garage for a car collector, and he had Paradigm Inwall speakers.
Yeah, and that's probably a place where that customer entertains, is in his garage.
Yeah.
So you put the better speakers there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but that would be a great place to put a pair of matching Paradigm personas.
Oh yeah,
to match the car.
Speaking of personas, they're one of my favorites when I think of those art pieces that I mentioned earlier. I know, tell us, because I know it confuses a lot of people. They don't know it exists, about the Beryllium and the role it plays in those persona speakers.
Okay, Beryllium is a is a rare metal. It is actually on the periodic table. And it's found in very few places on the earth. And one of our biggest competitors to buying beryllium is NASA and government companies that build planes and spaceships and things like that. But beryllium is this metal that gets mined. It's very dangerous to mine it, but once it's baked and gone through the process, it is safe. And we put it in the Persona speakers. We use it in both the tweeter and the mid-range, and those are really important drivers in a speaker, because that's where most of musical instruments, that's where almost all of our vocals are come through, are those two speakers, actually more so in the mid-range. There are other brands that use beryllium to build a tweeter, but we're one of the only ones that have both tweeter and mid-range, that's pure beryllium. And what that beryllium is going to do, it's a very lightweight metal. It actually, when you flick it, it feels like plastic, or it sounds like plastic, but it's not going to color. It's not going to ring out. It's a very accurate sounding material, perfect for speaker and music playback. So you are going to get as close to the reproduction of that song or whatever you're listening to because of those beryllium speakers. And so, of course, all of the engineering that goes around it just makes it that much better. So it is rare. It is something that we're one of the only companies in the industry with tweeter mid-range beryllium. So yeah.
Great. So that's on our Christmas list. Then we should add that to our Christmas list.
Everybody should go to Barney Miller's to buy Christmas.
Yes.
There you go.
Get some
I
great.
tell you, if you come in and listen to a pair of those, sit down and we can put on your favorite song and you will be amazed how good they sound. You can close your eyes and it sounds like the artist is right there in the middle of the speakers on the stage. They image so well and they sound so detailed and good. It's amazing.
Even if it's not anywhere near your budget, don't be afraid to go into Barney's and sit down and listen. It'll be the bar expectation for any speaker that you ever buy from there on out. But it is an awesome sounding speaker.
Yeah, well,
That's why it was referred to as a musical instrument, because it truly sounds like live music.
It does.
yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, I think that
Okay.
I think that that's great, where, part of the beauty of this experiencing the technology is the opportunity to go and experience it, to feel it, right? When you listen to music through speakers, you feel it. So yes, you can go to Barney's showroom and you'll really be amazed once you actually experience the technology and the sound, that you'll really want to add that to your home to really make it your own. And in these times, create the best, entertaining experiences for your family and your friends getting ready for the holidays.
I think when people hear their favorite song, it brings them back to a certain time in their life. It's a real emotional thing. And when music sounds good, it does it that much better.
Yes.
Definitely.
I'd like to say one more thing. I'm sorry for the group that's here. I want to thank Jimmy and Deborah for joining us. Builders, the interior designers, are a lot of times the gatekeepers to what companies like Barney Miller do, to get in there and be able to sell products like Paradigm and Anthem. And I will say, based on the conversations that I've had with dealers all across the country, that builders and interior designers, for the most part, don't want to have anything to do with audio and video. And it's awesome to hear that Jimmy and Deborah are looking out for the customer and wanting them to have some type of entertainment in their home. I mean, a lot of people would be appalled to see what some of these builders and designers are doing. They don't want to have anything to do with not just audio, but just home automation or entertainment. Our homes are where we live and we entertain. So I thank you very much for both of you for supporting Barney Miller's and supporting our industry, I think you're doing your customers a huge service.
Yes, I second that, and thank you all very much. It means a lot to my company and our clients. It really does. It is just an integral part of people's lives nowadays, and you know, they expect it really.
Yes. So we really have been so lucky to have this dream team of industry experts.
Yes.
So thank you to all of you for joining us, and thank you to the audience for watching. I'm going to share my screen very quickly before we end so that if anybody watching has any questions or would like to reach out to any of the members on our panel to find out how you can do some of this in your home, ask any questions, maybe schedule an appointment to go stop by the showroom, you could certainly do so. Here is everybody's, I'll put it up here quickly, everyone's email information if you'd like to reach out. Yeah, and I think this was a great time. Thank you all so very much. I think it was really educational, and I hope people got some great information from it. And I'll encourage everybody to stay tuned for the next Barney Miller's Tech and Design event, which will happen next month in December. So thank you so much. Everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Okay, we're not live anymore, so
Okay, cool.
just so
Thank
you
you all very much. I really do appreciate it. It's a crazy time in this world right now. So things like this are probably going to become more commonplace, but really appreciate everybody's time. And I think it was a great conversation.
Yes, very much.
Great. Really enjoyed being part of it.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you, Barney.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you all. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving too.
Yes, thank you.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.
Thanksgiving. Bye.